All right, so let's take a look at the substantial new features that have been added to Talaria. So the first thing you'll notice up front is that we have a more spacious interface here. So a lot of our tools have been moved over to this right drawer over here, which you can collapse and expand depending on how you want this. So if you want more room to look at your data view here, you can just collapse that. And if you want to use these tools, you can bring that right back. Another change is that you can now select your database right at the top here. So when we click Adventure, that'll update, and now we're querying this database. And we can double check that by going over to our Schema tab, which is also new improved. So now we have a real tree view here rather than the awkward expansion panels that we had before. There's also an update coming that will display the data type next to this, but this is what we have for now. So let's look at some other changes by running a prompt. So I'll say, get me a list of 25 customers. So we'll query our adventure database up here and give that a second to run. And sure enough, we get our data back. But the first thing you'll notice is that we actually have this nice table view here, which allows for paging and all kinds of other features. So if I were to click through here, we have 25 results. So we'll get about 2.5 pages of data. So now we can browse much more data in a more convenient way. And of course, you can jump to the end back and forth as well here. Now, there's also plenty of display options for this table along the bottom. So if you think this is taking up too much room even still, you can choose dense, and that'll kind of flatten down the rows. And depending on how the rows are structured, you'll get a more or less dramatic result from that. But we also have the option to turn stripes on and off, so some nice visual display options there. And of course, you can also pick bordered. So if we turn off both bordered and striped, you get a much simpler table view. I personally like these color dividers. I think it's easier to read, but obviously choose whatever you'd like. Now, another cool feature is that we also have the option to add a favorite. So we have this nice button here, and when I click that, we'll get a little toast notification that says saved favorite. So I'll exit out of there. And now under our favorites tab, we now have that right here. And you'll also notice that we're building out our history as we go along here. So history is sort of temporary short-term queries, just kind of as you're using the app. And then favorites are the ones that you specifically want to save. So you can always click on those to bring back your query here. But we've seen that before, so let's move on. So a big new feature here is this SQL editor. This is my personal new favorite feature, but this will actually show the SQL query generated by the AI, which we also had before, but now this is editable. So say the SQL query isn't exactly what you want, or for some reason it's not running properly, you can look at this here and try to either adjust it yourself or just copy this out of here even if it is working and use it in one of your own apps. But let's say that we just want to switch this to 5 instead of the top 25. So I'll hit execute and it'll say results updated. So if we switch over to our results, sure enough, now we only have 5 elements instead of those 25. So we can't page anymore because we only have 5 results. So if I just switch this to 3 and go back, we'll have even less. And notice those don't populate in our history or our favorites. These are just populated by our actual prompts that get sent all the way out to the AI service and come back. Now, the last update is that we have this Insights tab, and this is an expansion on the previous summary functionality. So the AI now walks you through the steps that it took to construct this query and gives you more detail. So it'll give you a summary of the query itself, then it'll tell you the query is constructed as follows. So a select statement, and then the from clause and the order by. It talks about the logic that it took to end up at the query that we have in our editor. So I hope you like these changes. I think they're pretty cool, and we'll see where we go from here.